Hello everybody and welcome back to RainBro Crafts. My name is Colton and today I will be making for you our fan favorites version of our Palo Santo Path soap. This soap was originally part of our August collection. It was a kind of spur of the moment fragrance that we used to carry in beard oil, and it was a surprise hit. So when we were coming up with our fan favorites list, we had to include this one. So stay tuned and watch me remake our Palo Santo Path soap. Alrighty everybody, and welcome to the first video in our December 2024 fan favorites. And the first soap, if you watched the introduction, which I'm sure you did, is our Palo Santo and Mahogany Path soap. This soap was a really big surprise hit, at least for me, with how well it sold back in August as part of our kind of reduce, reuse, and recycle collection, hence why it is a path soap. A path soap, if you are new here, is one where we mix in our soap shreds. From when we bevel our soap, we save all of those in a sealed bucket, and then when we have enough, we add them into a new batch of soap to reduce the amount of waste we have. This soap, I didn't look at the old version when I was making this, the pictures at least, but I almost recreated it exactly, which is kind of funny because I was trying to make like a slightly elevated version, and I still think I did a little bit, but this is probably the one that is the most similar to the original version that we made this year, but that is alright because obviously it was a fan favorite, so much so that we brought it back. So while I've been gabbing, I did mix up our lye water, sodium lactate, signature plant-based oil blend, some like stormy blue mica, colloidal oatmeal slurry, blitzed that all up till it came to a nice light trace, and now we are adding in our Palo Santo and Mahogany fragrance oil from Brambleberry, one of our favorite suppliers. We do not get paid to say that. They are just ones that we use very regularly for a lot of our soap fragrances. That's who we usually get them from. There was also some green zealot clay, I think is what it's called, which is why it looks kind of a little scummy in there. I was making sure that the fragrance oil stuck around by mounting it to the clay particles, kind of like marinating the clay and the fragrance oil together. I think in the original batch we used green sea clay, but I couldn't find that in our shelf of ingredients, but I found this and so I used it instead. The one thing that this does add that the other one didn't was it adds some little like flecks, some little like greenish blue flecks, which is actually a really pleasant feature to the soap. So I'm kind of happy that this is what I found, because I do think it elevates it ever so slightly. We will really quickly blitz that up so everything has come to a nice light trace, meaning that you can kind of see some of the soap batter as you scrape off your stick blender there. I will then start the process of mixing in the soap shreds, and this is 20 ounces of soap shreds, primarily from our November soap collection, just because those were the ones on the top of the bucket when I was grabbing these before I made this soap. Everyone kind of does this a little differently. Zach actually mixes these in the slab mold with the soap batter. I like to do it this way. I just feel like it's easier for me to make sure that there is no air pockets when I mix it into a smaller confined space, but you know what, to each their own. I also find that this prevents all of the soap shreds from settling down at the bottom because you know the texture of the soap batter, and you can always delay pouring the soap batter into the slabs if it's a little too thin. And then once that is all blended up, I will pour into 2 slabs, half of the soap into each slab there, and I use our scraper to kind of diffuse the splatter of the soap batter. Because there's chunks in it, it's kind of like pouring pasta sauce or something like chunky into a pot and it kind of splatters everywhere. This kind of diffuses that a little bit, so it's not quite so messy, and you're not slinging around raw soap batter that can make you a little tingly and potentially burn you, because there is still lye in this. So if you get this on your skin, it's probably not going to be a super fun situation for ya. Once I've eyeballed these to be about half in each slab, I will scrape out the container really, really well. Just makes cleanup so much easier. I let it set for maybe like 30 seconds or so, basically long enough to clear everything off of my table here. And then I grabbed a bar spoon, and I'm just doing some really interpretive swoops, kind of like ocean waves a little bit is what I was going for, which this is very similar to the design from August, and I'll put a picture up in the corner in case you haven't seen that video. I also will put a card up in the corner for if you haven't seen that video, so you can see kind of what the inspiration for this design was, because while I didn't look at the picture, the design was an inspiration. I just recreated it very well. Now I'm just kind of going back through and making sure there's no flat spots. I wanted this to be like turbulent waters. I don't know if that's the right phrase, but like lots of waves kind of sloshing back and forth. I then am going to put on some... Oh, I was going to do so well and remember what the mica was for this. I think it's called Interstellar from Mad Micas. It is a black-ish mica, but it has gold glittery chunks in it, which is really, really cool. So the gold stays around really well, and the dark kind of blackish, purplish is like a really stark contrast. I think it's Interstellar because it kind of looks like stars in space. And then I'm going to do a little bit of a magic trick here and whip up another batch of soap, because this is going to be almost the exact same. I am not going to put any colorant in this soap though. There's not going to be any mica or anything like that. The only thing that's kind of going to add a little bit of a tinge is that green clay, because I'm doing the same green clay in both layers, but no micas, no colorants, no anything like that. Once I have scraped out or pushed through all of that fragrance oil through that fine mesh strainer, I'm going to do another little bit of a magic trick here with my magic scraper and blitz this all up as well. Similar to the last batch, I just want to make this come to a nice light trace, meaning that you can kind of see the remnants of the soap dripping back into that Cambro there. That's really all that means. And then this soap batter in the bottom is pretty well set up because it's been in there for about 5, maybe 10 minutes. But just so I'm not kicking up any of that mica and risking breaking that nice line, I'm going to use that scraper to break the fall of the soap batter. Just like before, kind of sounding like a broken record here, I am just going to put about half of each, or half of the soap batter in each slab mold there. The one thing that we do or don't do when we are making Path soap is we don't subtract what we're adding in the soap shreds to our recipe. Meaning that we are making a full batch for each slab, but we are adding in 20 extra ounces of already made soap. So these bars are technically a little bit larger than our normal bars, which are about 4.5 ounces. So it's kind of like a little bit of a bonus. They look a little bit taller than our normal bars. It also does kind of throw us off a little bit when we're making our soap, because it's ever so slightly taller in the molds here than the other batches of soap, but not so much so that you don't immediately notice, but it's enough to kind of throw you off your game, especially when you're trying to divide things in half without weighing things out. Once we have all that soap batter into our molds, I am going to drizzle over some blue mica. This was a couple different shades of blue that I had. I just mixed them up and then I put them in a little bit of some canola oil, whisked it up with a little like coffee whisker, and then I didn't have a super great plan with this, but I wanted it to be very like distributed across the whole top of the soap. So I'm going to do some swizzles first to get everything nice and kind of over the top of everything, but not organized whatsoever. Well, I wasn't super pleased with that. So then I'm going back through and I'm whisking kind of in the other direction from side to side that mica as well. And then once I am done with that, I will just repeat this same step in the other slab as well. I'll let this set up for just a little bit till I can work the soap batter with my bar spoon, similar to what I did in that middle layer. I just want to make this like turbulent waters there, I'm using that word again, to kind of spread out that mica to make it a very interestingly textured top design. My goal here is to make sure there is no flat spots in the soap on the top at least. So I'm going to make sure that I kind of touch each and every spot of the top of this soap. We will repeat this on the other slab as well. I did think that it needed a little bit more of the blue mica, but I didn't have any more in my little stainless steel container there, and I didn't want to make any more, so I kind of just went without. But that's okay because it still looks good. You still get a nice good effect on top of all of the bars of soap, especially once they're all cut up and you're not comparing everything all together all at once. Once I have guaranteed that we do not have a flat spot on the bars of soap, I will spritz this with some rubbing alcohol. Oops, I missed a spot. And now I'm going to spritz it with some rubbing alcohol, put a lid on it, set it aside for 24 hours to let it set up, and then Zach is going to take away the soap cutting here, and we can see that really cool wave design finally after waiting for a day. That's the hardest part, is waiting to see what the inside of the soap is going to look like. Especially when you do a fun design, you're always a little nervous, even if you've done it before. And like I've mentioned several times in this video, this design we have done very, very similarly as we did in the Palo Santo Path soap in August. Zach does have both slabs on our chopping block there, but we're only going to show you chopping up one slab. It is the prettier of the two in my opinion. It's the first slab with more of the blue on the top. And that is exactly what I was going for. That really crisp, dark, bluish black line, the kind of fun confetti layer on the bottom, and then the kind of like crisp blue top. And that is it. That is our Palo Santo and Mahogany Path soap, which will be for sale starting December 1st online and in person. It is part of our Fan Favorites 2024 collection. So check that out if you want to grab yourself a bar. Thank you so much to all of our subscribers. We appreciate each and every one of you. If you want to get soaps or candles of the month from us, check out our website for more details on that. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video. Comment down below your favorite soap video of the past year that we've made. Subscribe to the channel and ring that bell icon so you get notified when new videos come out. Thanks. Bye.